Welcome back, Sunday Society, to another episode of Taking Back Sunday. You will notice that we have a very special guest who has been on the podcast before, but never in real life. Welcome, Autumn.
Hello.
We're so excited to have you.
Yes, we are.
Today's episode is quite heavy, so we are going to kind of chat about what life looks like when you choose peace over everything and kind of what that looks like in practice and kind of some of the obstacles that come along with that. So let's grab our coffee, get comfy, and let's take back Sunday. It's the week of Thanksgiving. We have a very specific theme or vibe we're going for today. You'll notice that we have our Christmas decor up because this is our first December episode. So we're starting the month off right. We all had a very different decision on what pajamas looked like. I went with my Stranger Things top because the final season premieres tomorrow. And I'm so excited. I've got my red nails on for Vecna. I'm ready. So that's where I am. Nothing really to report. Autumn, how are you?
I'm good. I'm recovering from traveling still.
Yes. Yeah.
I feel like I've got so much adrenaline and like need to sleep and wanting to hang out with everybody, but was excited for an opportunity to decompress and to, visit. And this is my comfy wear. And you got my leggings?
Yes.
Shirt.
We all understood the leggings assignment. We all got that.
You told me, I'm just going to jump in here. You told me big pajama shirts with leggings.
Yeah.
I came prepared.
This is my big pajama shirt and my leggings.
This is my big cardigan.
I love it. And I almost wore one that looks exactly like that. We would have been twinning.
I figured that you would come in a sweater. So I was like,
a little
it'll be
chilly
fine.
without the sweater.
Yeah. See, I'm hot. I'm hot in here right now.
I go no places without a sweater or a jacket. I don't care the temperature. It just gets colder on the inside the warmer it is on the outside.
It's true. That doesn't make any sense. But I was here for it. I was like, we'll vibe with it. That's fine. So how long was your flight? You said it was a direct flight.
It was 2 hours and 35 minutes.
That's so fast.
Yeah, it was incredible. It's the first time we've ever had a direct flight without having to rush and find a different gate. We always end up someplace that seems, like we should be not that far away from our destination.
Yeah.
And so it was lovely. We booked it right a month at the mark, and I was happy with that flight.
Nice. Where did you fly out from? Charlotte. Okay.
Yes, we had opened our scope up from Charlotte, Greensboro, Raleigh. It was essentially what was the best flight, best price. We would go to any of them, and Charlotte won out. So
there you go.
I was gonna. What did we fly when we went to the Northeast?
Delta.
Okay, there you go.
Yeah, girl. I'm a Delta girl.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What did you fly?
This time it was American.
Yeah.
But we did Delta last year, and my youngest was enamored with it. He's such a bougie kid.
I love it.
Like, we should fly Delta again. Like, I couldn't have named a single
airline
at his age.
No.
Considering the first time I ever got on an airplane to fly was my, mid-20s, 30s? Anyway, I was an adult.
I first flew in high school. Well, no, I flew to Germany. But I don't have a clue what airline that was.
I was like, I remember.
I
forgot. How long of a flight is that?
A long one.
Like an overnight flight?
Yeah. So I'm pretty sure we flew to Detroit first and then flew out from Detroit to Frankfurt, Germany.
Wild.
It took a lot of time. I watched Patch Adams. It was longer than that movie. I think there were maybe at least 2 movies.
Movie.
Oh, it was so good. I was 9 years old watching this on the plane, like, what? So what about you, Hannah? What's new in your life? You had a fun little visit to the doctor today.
I mean, last week, I think you guys probably heard that.
It's been like the last 2 weeks.
Yeah, the last 2 weeks. It's been like 10 going on 14 days. 87 years.
It's been 84 years.
I have walking pneumonia, bronchitis, and 2 ear infections, which one she thinks started in October when we were on the
when we
trip.
flew. Yeah, which is crazy.
Just getting over that and pushing through,
Yay. Right before the holidays, right?
Yeah.
Tis the
season. Don't kiss babies, cover your mouths, all the things.
Enjoying my not so much hot tea, but it's tea today. So.
The medicine ball.
Yeah.
Those are fun. I like researched how to make them, and I'd make them at home. I'm pretty sure I used like more lemonade than I'm supposed to because it just tasted like lemonade to me. I'm like, this doesn't taste like tea at all, but whatever. As you guys know, Hannah and I have known each other since preschool.
Mhm.
Well, surprise, surprise. Surprise, surprise. Autumn was in that class with us.
Yes, she was.
We have all known each other since Mrs. Baker at Grace
Oh.
Lutheran Preschool.
Mrs. Baker.
And yeah,
She's the goat.
she really, oh my gosh.
She
her
guys, the
and-
dinosaurs, man. I will never
Dude,
forget
I
the dinosaurs.
love the dinosaurs. I think
Coming
of,
from the east.
yes, they're coming from the west.
Yeah, I don't have a lot of memories as a kid. Trauma.
Yeah.
But I definitely remember that.
Yeah, yeah.
That was before trauma, I think. That's why.
Maybe. Well, and that we have on camera. Like,
Oh,
my
yeah.
parents recorded it. I've watched it a couple times with
Aw.
our little tails. Yeah, it was so much fun. So we have known Autumn our entire lives. Like,
Yes.
all of us have kind of known each other. We've seen and grown up together. We kind of are familiar with kind of the history that each of us brings to the table, especially in regard to this discussion, which is going to be really about choosing peace and what that means, because it means different things to each of us,
Mhm.
and it looks different in each of our lives. It shows up in a very different way. So before we kind of talk about what peace looks like, I do want to kind of reiterate that this isn't about bitterness. We're not bitter because that means that we're still holding on to something. This is about boundaries and healing. Like, when you are bitter and you hold on to it, there's still something there left to be resolved. When you have chosen peace, you have your boundary and you're healing yourself to no longer have to carry that weight, because being bitter doesn't do anything to the other person. It only hurts you. So without further ado, I say that all the time and I feel so fancy when I do. I think that we can kind of talk about what boundaries are, how they sound good in theory, but how they can be like really messy in practice. So I don't know if somebody wants to talk about, like, we could first talk like, what does choosing peace even look like for each of you? And we can start, like, we can just go down the line, start with
I'd
Autumn.
like to hear what Autumn has to say.
Yeah. So, and it's hard to identify specifically if you're like pinpoint exactly what peace looks like, but I think it's really kind of determining your outline for what you accept within your life. So what you can control in it, and what ebbs and flows and fluctuations and ins and outs that you then tolerate and allow. And so once you found that balance of where you feel like those fluctuations are tolerable and livable and don't throw your life in too much imbalance, I think that's when you find where your peace is and where you're living your peace.
I love that.
Yeah. It's very profound. Very deep. We got deep. I think that figuring out what disruptions are worth working through, also, like you talked about, like, are the imbalances enough? Like, are they throwing your life off too much, or are they throwing them off, is there, what's the threshold for like that disruption when people are causing you to feel like you aren't your best self,
right?
And
it's essentially what topples you out of your own homeostasis, for lack of a better term.
We love that word.
Because life will always have fluctuations. Like, life is not meant to be stagnant, but we can't be consistently always having extreme highs and extreme lows. Our bodies are not meant to undergo, our minds are not meant to undergo that constant stress. And so we got to figure out where our levels are, and what, again, like you just said, where we can cope and where we can maintain our functionality and our best selves.
Right. Because life is not without conflict, and conflict isn't always a bad thing. A lot of change and growth comes out of conflict, but it is just like, is this worth allowing me to feel this way? Is this a growing pain, or is this something that is going to really impact me in a way that I don't appreciate or support anymore? So yeah, I agree that that's kind of what peace looks like. And Hannah, because I have ADHD, so I'll talk about everything. I'm tangenting in my brain. What is peace like? What does that look like for you?
So coming from somebody who is a giver and will give until I have nothing left to give, for people that don't deserve it, I have to, in my mind, for my piece, go, okay, who matters? Who needs me? Who actually needs me?
Right.
And at the end of the day, the people in my home are the people who matter the most. And so at some point, just realizing that why am I going out of my way for people who would not do that for me? Why don't I focus on my home? And a sense of peace came with that, that, there is going to be things in my home that are ups and downs, but not feeling like I'm giving to people and to things that are never going to give back to me. And literally I could be gone tomorrow and they would just be like, okay, and they'd move on. At some point you're like, wow, I really need to look at my priorities. And when I shifted my priorities and invested into myself and my family, that's where I started to feel peace.
Yeah.
That's great.
I think that kind of realization of who's worth the struggle and who's worth the pain can feel very isolating whenever you get to a point where you're like, maybe they're not. And then you have to look like, okay, am I going to be cutting these people out of my life forever? Is it just me that's going to be out? I feel like those decisions can feel you feel alone, like in those when you have, like, we'll talk more about, like, you mentioned in your home. I feel like family is the place where boundaries are the worst sometimes.
They're the hardest.
They're the hardest to set. And it feels like if you are the only person setting the boundaries with somebody in the family, you feel like you are the problem. I don't know if that's true. That's how I would feel.
I do. I do. I mean, I agree with that.
You feel like the villain.
Yes, I'm the bad guy.
The anti-hero,
Literally.
Because it's like, am I the drama? Like, am I the problem? Am I the only one?
The problem is I feel like that. Am I is it a me problem?
Yes. Or is it that I'm the only person who is ready to stand up? Yeah. And say, like, I'm no longer going to tolerate this.
Because while I think that self-reflection is helpful and having that mindfulness to take a step back and be like, okay, let's really analyze this from my perspective, from all the perspectives. I think at the same time, we need to also give ourselves the grace to not gaslight ourselves into reneging on our decisions because we're feeling pressure from other people, because we're, pushing the norm or boundaries or their level of comfortability.
Yeah. Breaking generational curses is hard when you're the first one to step up and say, enough is enough. It ends with me, Being
the first in anything is difficult. Brene Brown talks about FFTs, effing first times. I don't know if I can say the word. Is that what?
You can't, but yeah. You can't. You can't say the word, but yes, you can say effing.
We have to make it explicit, so
we don't want that label.
That E.
Yeah.
And so anything for being the first, breaking through any barrier first time.
Yes.
Regardless of how big or how small, it's always hard. And there's going to be learning curves, and it's going to feel awkward, and it's going to feel weird, and sometimes you just got to continue on.
Just do it.
Just
do it, lady.
Yep, break through it.
Yeah.
Well, and you say that about first. Were you the first to go to college?
Yeah.
I thought so.
Yep. Student. That is correct.
So there's positives in those firsts too.
Yeah. Exactly. But sometimes you gotta embrace the suck, because
I like that.
It is going to be hard, and you have to give yourself the grace to know that you're not going to be perfect at it. And this is like whether you're obtaining a new task, a new challenge, a hard decision, like you're going to fumble, you're going to make mistakes, and you got to love yourself through it and just know that you're on the right track.
Yeah.
Yeah. Especially with family, I feel like
you gotta hold
it's
the line.
hard. You really do. You have to hold the line a lot harder, because everyone's like, there's like a different level of expectation or entitlement from family that you have to just shove it under the rug, or like just let it go.
Or that's just
your
how they are.
Yeah, or that's your sister, that's your brother, that's your blood. I don't care. Like if they're treating, if there's a situation that is just boundaries have been set and dismissed over and over and over again, at a certain point you have to demand better for yourself. and set a good example for your family if you have kids. Like, you don't want your kids to see that and think, oh, this is normal. This is normal for people to just walk all over you. Like, that's just what you do for family. It's not.
Yeah, no.
It's not what you do.
And I think that's really what I had to look at this summer was just my kids are seeing a pattern of behavior of their mom going out of their way for somebody who doesn't care about her and definitely doesn't care about them and doesn't make any effort. I don't want them to think that's okay.
Yeah.
I don't want them to be mean when they're adults and be like giving themselves to people when they don't care. Like, that's no.
Well, I think a good barometer for that too is if you think, if you're unsure if you are being too intolerant, is you can think, would I tolerate this for my kids or would I expect them to tolerate this? And if the answer is no, then you should not tolerate it for yourself.
Yeah.
You know, and that,
Clock it.
Right? Like, that really, when you think about it that way, you're like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
I can acknowledge that I do deserve better out of this.
Yeah.
Yeah. It puts that into perspective a little bit more. Mm-hmm. So you kind of mentioned this, or you kind of brought this up already. When have you had to choose peace over comfort or obligation? What's a good example of that?
So with I have a sibling that I am in no contact with now, and a niece, and it hurts. It hurt. It's very fresh, so it hurts.
Yeah.
But at some point, I just thought, wow, when did I stop seeing what it is? Because what it is I'm walking on eggshells and trying to make these people happy, and they aren't doing the same. They wouldn't do the same. I go out of my way to try to make everything special for everybody, especially around this time of the year, which is hard for me. And no one appreciates that. And I don't say no one. And those people don't appreciate that. And it's like, why am I, spreading myself so thin for people that, they've never been to my kids' sporting events. They've never been to a school event. They don't come to birthday. I'm like, why? Why do that? Because I have a almost 16-year-old that had to tell me, why do you care? They don't care about me. Why do you care about them? And I was like, wow.
Straight from the mouths of babes. Kids will keep you humble, man. They'll check you real quick.
And I was like, oh my gosh. And so it became you don't get access to me and my kids because you don't have the right intentions. You don't care. And at this point, I have to be okay with that. If you change at some point, maybe we'll visit. But I've worked really hard to get here. And I'm going to stop. I'm going to stop trying to be something I'm not because people are crappy. I don't know better to say that.
Well, we don't have to be eloquent and well-spoken. This is raw. Like, this is real life that's happening. And I do think that it's important to note too that, sometimes family live far away and it's hard to get to some of these events. But in this situation, it doesn't qualify. Because I know that if we use this as like a clip that we put out there, I can just see the feedback,
comments, which we love.
What if they're busy? Yeah, we love positive feedback. We, interact. It's different if an effort is made at all versus no effort is made. Like, you can say, like, you can try. There's just no effort.
Listen, I live 7 hours away from my nephew, and I still send him videos. And
I know. So there is a way to still be involved and seek involvement when you're not close.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely.
And because you live states away,
yeah, it's a 14-hour drive, and I still feel like my family stays very involved. We're very intentional.
Yes.
The family that we stay in touch with, like, they make an effort, and I still feel like family, I very much know what's going on with their lives.
Yeah.
They very much know what's going on with mine. I hope that it feels reciprocal for them as well. And if not, then I respect their decision that if I'm not the person for them, then it may hurt me, but ultimately I support their peace over my comfort.
And that's why you are the person for them. Because what you just said, you care about them as much as they care about you.
Yeah, that's some deep stuff.
Well, it's like the same thing with my practice. When sometimes, if we have patients that are, because I'm a midwife.
We should tell. Yeah, we need to explain what she does for a living.
Sometimes I'll have like my local doulas reach out and they're like, hey, we have a patient who's been seeing another provider, but they're interested in midwifery, but they want to talk about it more before they like make a big shift in their prenatal care. Totally understandable. And I talk to them and I tell them what we're all about. And a lot of times they do get really excited. And I'm like, look, I want you to feel comfortable with us. And if we're not the choice for you, we have lovely providers in this community to meet everybody's personalities, things like that. And if I'm not for you, I just want it to be somebody that you feel safe with. And if that's not, if I'm not that person, that's okay. It's not about me.
Yeah.
You know, and while I would love to think that I'm here for every person, like, you know, that little bit of part, you know, the
ego
girl,
part. Yeah. Yeah.
at the end of the day, I want what's best for them. And I think that's ultimately what being a midwife is about, right?
Yeah,
Part of
yeah.
that, you know? And so I truly try and like walk the walk and talk the talk, you know?
That is a really good example, because I do think that sometimes, and I wanted to circle back when you made the comment, like if people don't feel like it's reciprocated, if that were me, like I would hope that they would feel safe enough with me to tell me that.
Yes.
And say like, hey, I'm not getting what I need from you. I love you. I want to keep this going, but this is how this has to look, to kind of frame, you know, this is what I need. And then if you do mutually decide that it's not going to work, like if they're requiring things that you just can't provide, I think that at the end of the day, and my therapist will tell you, sometimes it doesn't mean that there's anything wrong with you. It doesn't mean there's anything wrong with them. It just means that it doesn't work.
Yeah,
and
absolutely.
That's hard. That is hard to accept, because I want everyone to like me. Like
Right.
that is my trauma, is that I want to make sure that I am making everybody happy.
Right.
And in doing that, I neglect kind of myself.
Yeah,
in that.
that's that people pleasing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think sometimes people mourn the investment and the emotional time, capital, and investment that they've put into those relationships. And sometimes people will tolerate a lot more than they should.
Mm-hmm.
Kind of the same thing like when you go into it's a time suck when you go to a car dealership. And you find yourself sitting around for a lot of extra time that seems unnecessary. It's because it is unnecessary, and it's purposeful. Because at the end of the day, they want you to be like, well, they've spent this much time, and so people feel invested. They're like, well, if I walk away from this deal at this point, I've lost all that time, and this will have been for nothing. And they're banking on that, right?
Yeah.
Because they know that people feel when they spent time on things that they are invested. And I feel like that can really be related to our relationship currency as well.
Yeah.
You know, when we don't want to pull the plug if we've got a lot invested in it.
I need to sit with that. Someone say something, please.
I was just letting you have a moment.
Sometimes holding
it
space
sucks.
is what's needed.
Yeah. No, that's something that's kind of, you know, reared its ugly face in my, you know, this past summer. So we're going to talk more about the choices to go no contact with people that we're close with. That choice was put on me, to like, the boundary was set up that I am no longer involved in like life. And that's just been very hard to accept because of the time that I, you know, there's a lot in it, and I don't even know where to begin, but it does. I'll let you open that.
I'm so sorry. I
Fine.
just feel coughs coming.
I can just, I'll be editing now here and
So sorry.
ASMR. It's a lot to process, just feeling like it was that easy to just cut me out completely when I feel like I had put so much time and effort into it. And then the healed part of me is like, well, maybe that's, you know, you put the expectation on that person that they didn't want, and this and that. And then the unhealed part of me is like, F that MFer, for how dare you make me question myself like that? Because I know that I was a good freaking person to that whole group.
And I think that's also a healed person right there, is you
Really?
being like, yeah.
Like, screw you, buddy.
And not even the expectation or whatever, but it's that you put here's why it's so easy for that boundary. That person didn't put that kind of investment in you.
Yeah.
You did all the investing.
Yeah.
And that really sucks when we invest and we are the only one investing.
Putting money in the bank. Yep. Because the joint account got closed and I have nothing left.
Yep.
Like, they cleaned it out.
Mm-hmm.
And it would be different had there been conversations of like trying to set boundaries if there were issues, but just going like 60-0. Like, the brakes got slammed, the rug got pulled out from underneath. I should have seen it coming, but I just think that's kind of a perspective that I bring, that I am on the receiving end of like a no contact relationship. And it does suck. It can suck when you have no idea what's coming or that it was coming. So, but
I think, and I don't mean to interrupt.
No, I'm done.
I think where we can, and I think it's important and impactful to have your experience of being on that side of it, but by your reaction to it, we can also see the difference too, and how you have handled things since then. When this no contact has been declared, you're not essentially harassing these people either, and not constantly leaving voicemails and trying to emotionally manipulate them, and whether or not they made a sound decision, because I would argue that they didn't, and that they're not in a good emotional space. At the same time, you're acknowledging like it is what it is at this time, and me harassing or pushing and inserting myself is not going to make it any better. And I think that reflects on your intentions and your person, versus like what I and perhaps you have experienced when you have decided that you need to put up those barriers and go no contact.
And honestly, if we're being honest, you should have been the one to put boundaries and no contact, probably. We all in this room know, we ain't gonna say it here, we all know, and you did everything right. You did maybe minus one little detail.
No, listen, my therapist said that was fine. Okay. So we're fine. But Tracy approved.
Other than that, one thing you were in a corner, and people will push you in a corner, but then they want to be upset when you bite back. You did everything right, and you did everything with good intentions and with love. And at the end of the day, you should be proud of that.
I try to be. I still have a hard time, but it is what it is. And I have to focus on what I can control, which are my thoughts and my actions. And I am moving forward, trying to just be a productive human being, spreading light and goodness into this world. That's all I can do.
Well, you bring light and joy to me, so.
Yes.
Love you guys. What boundaries do you think that you struggle with the most to maintain? Like physical boundaries, emotional boundaries, like digital boundaries? Which ones do you think are the hardest to keep?
I think digital boundaries are huge for everybody. And I have a really hard time unplugging. And I am simultaneously a person who likes to be private, but also my quick connection with everybody that I'm distanced from is by putting things on social media so that they all kind of get mass update on our lives, so they can still feel very involved.
Privately connected.
Yes, but it's a very delicate balance, and I don't feel like I have mastered it, but I'm trying. But it's definitely an area, an opportunity for improvement, if you will.
So I know I've noticed something that you do, like when you and your family go on trips, you don't post your photos while you're on the trip. You wait until you get home, and then you do, a big photo dump. I feel like that's a boundary that you've set up with the people that you're sharing this information with, because then you're living your life on your own time, first of all. And then secondly, people don't know when you're not home. It's kind of a legit safety boundary that you have, that people aren't aware of, like, ooh, her house is empty. Let's go rob her blind. All her soap.
And my abortive soap,
the soap closet.
And that was actually a safety boundary that my husband had suggested, something I never would have thought of, but I also didn't take vacations growing up, so how am I supposed to know how you're supposed to act? But I also, the other aspect of it is I like to, then when I am traveling home or near home, or I spend several days after the trip to then kind of relive the trip by posting the summary of each day of my trip. So it's kind of we used to do the slideshow, people would do their slideshows of their trip, and in a way it's my here's the slideshow of this journey that we took.
I love that.
I do too. I like it. What about you, Hannah? What boundaries do you think are the hardest for you to maintain?
I don't even know if this makes sense, but it would be the boundaries that I have placed for me on what I will and won't do. And because I am a people pleaser and I really care a lot about people that unfortunately my situation affects, even though I know reaching out and trying to fix it is not my place, that I can't fix it. I didn't break it. I can't fix it this time. I want to. And I have to continually tell myself, no, this is not your problem to fix. No, stop trying to fix everybody else. You have to just walk away.
I think that's an emotional boundary.
Yeah.
And that makes sense. I do. I could
from
see
the
that.
Cancer. That's super emotional.
Yes. So if I had to choose, I do think that it's either emotional, actually, yeah, emotional or digital boundaries, just because sometimes I can get on a little kick of I like to overshare memes that are like really hitting. And I'm like, listen, not everybody needs to know how I'm feeling right now. It's okay. It's okay to be private. But then, yeah, emotional boundaries. I just feel like sometimes I get invested more than I need to be.
Sure.
So yeah. But it is important though that we note that boundaries aren't walls. Like we're not building walls to keep people out. We're giving our doors doorknobs for teaching people how to come in a way that makes us feel safe and loved appropriately.
Yeah.
I don't
So
know. I build walls.
I know. I know. So a no, I
feel like this situation is different. Like
Well, and-
your situation is so much different than like normal boundaries.
Well, it is still a boundary though. And
Yeah.
the fact that that person that the boundary is set with doesn't respect the boundaries, that's their problem.
Right.
Yes.
That's
And
not
that we
you
remove that
shutting them
doorknob.
out. That's them choosing not to love you in the way that you deserve.
It's true. And I guess you can have different levels of boundaries as well.
Of course.
And certain permeabilities. And
Of
where
course.
some people, when it's in no contact, there can be no permeability.
Mhm.
And others, there may be a door with a lock. And some it may just be a door with a handle.
Yeah.
And others, it could be a film, just a little like curtain between you guys.
Yeah.
Oh, I
You
like
just go
that.
back and forth.
And you can still very much observe their side of things. They can observe yours. You know that if you needed to cross, you could, but there's still a little separation there.
Yeah. And that, yeah, I feel like that's a good way to describe it. There are different levels, there's tiers. So I think the boundary that we're going to talk about that you've kind of put in place, not kind of, you have put in place, is one that is not really the most socially acceptable one. And people kind of have a lot of opinions about this type of boundary. When, first of all, they don't need to have opinions. If you haven't lived it, you don't get to have an opinion about it.
See, and I always say that if a child is not speaking to their parents, it's the parents' fault and it's the parents, like it's their job to fix it.
Yeah.
Because kids want to have a relationship with their parents. It is
Spoilers,
a natural
this is
thing.
a parent. This is a
It is
parent
a natural
boundary.
thing. So if there's a kid not speaking, it's that parent's fault.
Yeah. 10 years ago, Autumn, you made a decision to you made a decision to end a relationship with people that are typically supposed to love you unconditionally and provide you with safety and nurturing and all the things. You went no contact with your parents. What kind of led to that decision to go no contact?
That's tough because it was kind of a conglomeration of my entire childhood and adulthood relationship with them. And, giving birth the second time and not being able to rely on them consistently being there. I guess because this is I'm being very vague and that's hard, but on maternal side, what finally broke the camel's back was I had made the decision with my husband to go to the hospital when I was in labor, and the only person that we told was my sister because she was watching my oldest. And afterwards we told friends, family, and the first comment that my maternal figure had said was, "Oh, I wish you would have called me because I wanted to be there." And I know that sounds like it doesn't sound right. It sounds more considerate than it was, but it was more that not congratulations, you have a new baby.
Yeah.
It was, you left me out of something that I wanted to be included in.
I was going to say, I think that's kind of why I wanted to press home that we've known each other since we were 3 years old. Like have you seen the 25 years of experience up to that point? This makes sense. This was not a generous, considerate text message.
No, it wasn't a one-off. And that's the tough thing with this, is because it's hard to convey at that point 25 years of trauma in a podcast episode and what was endured up to that point. So when you explain that last little bit of when you finally made the decision, it all seems very trivial, and it truly wasn't. But she expressed, wanting to come and visit us, and she wanted to spend a weekend with us, and she was like, I'm gonna come. I want to see the baby. I want to spend time with you. I want to make you a roast. That was her big thing. She's like, I want to cook this roast. I want to make you guys dinner. And we're like, I mean, you don't have to, but you're welcome to. And we're just like, okay, like she says she's gonna do this. I guess she's gonna do this. And so that weekend comes, and I have this less than 1 week old baby, and she doesn't show up. She doesn't call. She doesn't answer her phone. I actually, in the meantime, when I was 5 days postpartum, had to be readmitted to the hospital. And that was very traumatic for me. I was not in the obstetric field at that time, so I didn't have the knowledge base that I have now to really understand what was going on. And it was very frightening. And I just wanted to be with my baby and my other child, and scared for what was happening with me. And so I'm going through all of this, and my husband's there with me, but essentially alone. And we're navigating, like, now having 2 children. And I don't know. I didn't think I was going to die, but also it just can be very scary.
It was scary.
You don't really know what's going on. And so then to have that happen, and then when she finally did, a week or so later, decide to call me, and I really was not apt to take her calls initially, but I finally did. And she claimed that the reason she did not make it to spend the weekend with us and to meet my baby and to help out and kind of do the things that, you would expect a maternal figure to do for their newly postpartum daughter. She said that she didn't make it because she was in a coma in the hospital.
I'm just going to sip on this.
Which
I beg your finest pardon. Have you seen the Asian nurse guy?
And the thing is that I think she genuinely thought it was a good, like, cover story. The problem is that we went through this fancy process where my middle sister, went through a local attorney in town and became her DPOA when my parents divorced. So that's literally, like, the first thing they ask you in a hospital is your
yes.
DPOA. Mm-hmm. She's very much in the medical. She's been in and out of hospitals. She probably overutilizes. No, she definitely overutilizes the medical system. She's very much. They have all her information. They know my sister's the DPOA. So if she's in a coma, that is essentially the time when your DPOA comes into play, because they're like, look, we have to communicate with you about what we're doing. Anyway, they never contacted my sister. She was not inpatient. This was just her lie. And I don't know why she didn't come. And she's also kind of a compulsive liar. And I just realized that, and here I am, like, very much in the throes of baby blues. I very much experienced postpartum anxiety and depression. It's just something that's known about me. And at that time, and I was very vulnerable, and I was like, my mental health cannot no longer tolerate these ups and downs. My life, my heart, my spirit just cannot be this vulnerable for this person anymore. If, like, they would stoop so low as, instead of just being like, I decided I want to go, or I was having a bad weekend, or I went somewhere, I don't even know.
Yeah, I forgot would have been better than said they were in a coma.
To go through such an elaborate lie to someone, and I was so vulnerable, and if they can't put in, when I'm at, like, my lowest, my weakest, then I got nothing for them anymore. Yeah. I got nothing for that relationship. So that was what ultimately led to me deciding, and it was kind of, as far as the physicality of it, she did not live in the same town as me. There were attempts by her to call and to text, and I think I would either ignore them or ask her to not reach out any longer.
So you did have, like, an explicit, please stop talking to me. Like, please leave me alone.
That was very much stated, yes. That I had nothing more to say, and that I did not wish for her to reach back out. And so there was a bit of still, like, she would try and try and try. Like, she'd go through waves.
Sure.
We'll go through waves where it's like, we're going to call you 6 times a day. And then we may not try again for 2 weeks. And all of a sudden you're like, why do I have 20 missed calls from this number?
Yeah.
Or there were a couple times when the kids were really little where she came by the house and left a box of stuff for the kids,
I remember that.
I wouldn't answer the door because I don't have to.
No, you sure don't. Not in your house. Not in the house you pay bills for.
As it is, I already have door anxiety, and that is because of my childhood, because of bill collectors and landlords and people who needed to confront my parents coming to the door and being told when the door got knocked on that us kids needed to be quiet. We weren't ever to answer the door. And so I got good at it then too. And I had a couple times where my paternal side had showed up and I didn't answer, but I still am very triggered. Even in my safe space, in my state where I live now, I have a very hard time when people knock on my door.
Yeah.
I don't think I'll ever be okay with it. And I don't have anybody coming for me.
Yeah.
My bills are paid.
I pay my bills. My bills are paid. But it's just that is where you go to because it's just what you're used to.
Yeah, I can know somebody's coming over. I prefer to just go ahead and have my front door open for them so that I can motion them in, because even if I know they're coming, to hear that somebody knock on my door, ring the doorbell, gets me anxious.
I had no idea.
Yikes.
I hate that. I hate them for that. I'm sorry.
It's all right.
Is there a memory that you have that sticks out to you the most, like a singular thing that you look back on and you're like, how in the world could they have done that to their children?
Well, I think a big thing, and I hate to bring it back to money because life is about much more than money, and people have very loving and safe and secure relationships and be of a lower socioeconomic status.
Yeah.
So I don't want to say that having financial security equals love or having financial insecurity equals not love. But I feel like there was certainly financial abuse that occurred as I was growing up. I think people think it's so weird and I think it's so normal, but my first job was the summer before I went to high school.
Yes.
I was 14 years old. I look at my 15-year-old and I'm like, I could not send that kid to work. Would not do it.
Wasn't it through a Job Corps type thing?
It was.
Was it at a bank?
It was at City Hall.
City Hall. Okay,
Yeah.
That's where the bank is now.
And
no, that's for City Hall.
It used to be a bank.
There you go.
Did you keep that money?
Barely.
Okay.
That's my first memory.
At that time, my mom had her own business. And there were times they'd come through the drive-thru because, again, that building was an old bank. They'd come through the drive-thru because that's where people pay their water bill, and give me this story about how we needed X amount of money for mom to get this product from the salon, or else we're not going to be able to make money, and I'll get paid back. And there was always promises of getting paid back more. There were times when money would disappear. If I was going out with friends, it would be, I just cash my check. Because I didn't really, that age, you can't get a bank account on your own. And it just wasn't, debit and credit was not as big of a thing anyway.
No, we had cash,
You cashed your check and they gave it to you. And it was like, oh, well, you don't want, if you were to lose all that money, like if it fell out of your pocket, then you would lose your whole paycheck. Why don't you let me hold on to it and you just take this amount with you? Well, then I would never get that back. Or it would be, we need to pay the electric bill. Your sisters need this. So I learned, I was kind of conditioned actually, that if I didn't spend my money right away, then I just wouldn't have access to it. And so unfortunately that did not, it did not set me up for much financial success in early adulthood. Now, I've obviously since figured that out.
Yeah.
But I didn't know what it looked like to try and conserve or save money, because to me, it was spend it while you got it.
Yeah.
Or it's no longer yours.
Yeah. Eat while you can type thing.
And even then, even into adulthood, I would be at my job and my dad would show up. We need $20. We need it so bad. We need it. Can you please give it to me? I'll give you 40 by Friday when I get paid. I need $20. And you're like, it's awkward because you're at work.
Yeah.
There are customers. It's really weird. And you're just like, I just need you to go. And so what do? You give
them the money to pacify them.
Do not ask your kids for money. Ew.
One of my biggest prides as a parent is my children's sense of attachment security and financial security.
And I love that.
My kids have no anxiety when I go somewhere or I leave them because they know I'll come back.
Yeah.
They know I'll be right back there. I remember relationship-wise as a teenager, if I was in a new, relationship with a boy, then that was my entire life, because I had such insecure attachment that if anybody showed me any amount of love and security, that's all that consumed me, because I had such insecure attachment. My kids don't have that. My oldest has a girlfriend. They don't even talk every day necessarily. I'll be like, hey, have you talked to so-and-so? And he'll be like, a couple days ago. They don't have this whole, like, I need to be, eat, sleep, breathe you. And at first I thought, well, maybe they just don't like each other that much, which is okay. But then I realized, oh no, it's just because he has secure attachment and he doesn't feel like he has to be consumed by this person. And the same goes for her too. She has great and that's just the difference. My kids, if they need something, we get it for them. They've never had to. They use a towel every day, a different towel every shower. I still don't even do that.
I was gonna say, I don't even do that.
Say what you will. They never had to.
A week.
I used to buy, especially in like early college too. But if I had an opportunity to buy like soap, body supplies, things like that, like health and beauty, I'd always buy 2.
Yeah.
Because if
you never know.
Always have a backup. Never had to they never, unless they don't tell their dad he needs to go shopping, but never had to water down shampoo or conditioner just to have some.
Oh, yeah.
Their clothes get washed. They've never had to want for anything. And I think that's a beautiful thing. They know that they don't have to not tell me about a trip coming up because they know it's going to cost money, and they don't think that they would our choir would go to New York.
Yeah.
I didn't even ask. What would be the point? My parents had money to take me, to let me go, so it wasn't even an opportunity. I went down a whole rabbit hole there.
Yeah.
No. I think that's giving what
a lot of
the
context
listeners are going to need. Yeah.
Yeah. A lot of context.
It's one thing to grow up, without much financial resources. I get that.
Yeah.
And I don't want people to think that I'm crapping on them because they don't.
That wasn't the point of them asking you for money.
But it also, a lot of it was their choices that led to their life that was that way.
Well, and that's true, because they were also not being financially responsible.
Yeah, and they had the things that they needed for the most part.
They did. One time.
Things that they shouldn't have needed.
Or had.
Yeah.
I remember I was 16, which this is wild to me. I was 16, it was New Year's Eve, had some friends over. I think one of them may have been the boy that I was dating. My sisters were there. They had friends. We've all got this New Year's Eve thing going on. Parents are like, we're going to run to the Walmart. We got to go to the store to get stuff. So y'all hang tight. They were gone an awful long time to just be running, 15 minutes across the river to go to the Walmart. I happened to go upstairs to their bedroom and shuffled the mouse on the computer, woke up the computer, and they had the hours pulled up for the casino. They went to the dadgum crab leg buffet.
Exactly.
$50 per person.
Oh,
but you can't have new shampoo.
Yes.
That's what I mean.
Things like that. Things like that. But it's and I being the nosy person I was, would find these things out because I'm not dumb, and
your gut
and
was
I do the deep dive. Yes. Or the issues growing up with the infidelity. And them not communicating with each other, and one parent didn't know that I had stayed home from school sick, and so then I overheard the other parent having a phone conversation with a girlfriend.
Jeez Louise.
Yeah.
And then
gosh.
how do you, I need to walk to the bathroom, how do you walk across that room knowing now they know that
and what happens now, what comes next?
Yes. So that, and then them with each other, and the abuse that I saw between them, the verbal abuse to us. I remember one time we were in 8th grade, and you had sent me a message that said, I don't know what intimate means, haha. I was 13. I remember we were going to summer school. I didn't want to go to summer school that day. I just wanted to hang out. I wanted to vibe, whatever. And I remember my dad had read that message and said, you just want to stay home so you can have sex with your boyfriend, which I don't know where that came from. I wasn't even didn't have a boyfriend. I wasn't sexually active. So that wasn't a thing either. I don't know where that even would, I was never even like with a boy unsupervised at that point. And what you guys just want to like give them your all or something. It was like really kind of crude and creepy and weird. And
I sent you that message
about the word intimate.
Yeah. That just shows you how we were at 13.
And it wasn't even about sexual intimacy. It was like you just literally, somebody had brought it up and you were like, I don't even know what that means.
That tracks.
And so then after this like confrontation, and I tell my husband about this, and it's like this teasing thing between us, because it's comical now. They hid my shoes because they didn't want me to run away.
Oh my gosh, like your shoes would stop you.
Right.
And I never had run away. Like,
but yeah,
but they took my shoes, and I was like, that was really weird behavior.
That was abusive.
But what I learned and reflecting was what a lot of this, I think, was instigated by was, I think, narcissistic personality disorder definitely played a part, but substance abuse that I just didn't recognize for what it was.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
You know?
You gave, I think, I'm not a toucher, but I keep wanting to touch your shoulder. That you gave a speech, I feel like, in high school, that either in speech class or maybe you like wrote for the paper, like an editorial, but it was about
alcoholism is a family disease.
Yes, and how every person has a different role that they play in that kind of, situation. And I still think about that, about how each person has a different role that they play in that family, in that dynamic.
And I had learned that, first heard about it at a conference I went to about like teens and helping to like mentor other teens and making good choices and not like using substances and stuff. I mean, I like really like deep dived and like went all in on that kind of thing, even though like I was not the kid partying or not that that's who they're reaching, but they want other teens to go in and influence the teens.
Yeah. We all were, you guys. We were such nerds. We weren't the ones going to parties, but we were like the only intelligent things.
Yes. I wrote my speech was about underage drinking and like why you shouldn't do it.
Yes. But I remember when I heard that, I was like, oh my gosh, this is my family.
Yeah.
Aww,
but I didn't recognize the substance abuse because it wasn't alcoholism.
Yeah.
And because I didn't know. And I didn't know for a long time. I was ignorant for a while. And so I think that in life, when it came to my no contact relationship, my only regret is I didn't do it sooner.
Yeah.
Well, I love that.
So
that is a good regret to have, I feel like. That you gave them every opportunity.
And I feel like that's my personal barometer for if I made the right choice. Yeah. And I don't have to doubt it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Doesn't mean it doesn't suck at times, but
coming from somebody who is kind of new in this, and it is very different. I want to be honest and like recognize that my situation is so different. And if I was no contact with my mom, my world would be, so, but my question is how do you navigate that guilt that you feel when you first kind of set those boundaries? Because I'm assuming there's guilt. I know that I feel guilt. How do you navigate that?
Yeah. And I mean, that's a great question because yes, there is guilt. And especially when you have people literally guilting you about it. Because that was the other thing is with my maternal figures' health. Well, and my paternal figures, I also think they were malingerers. And if you look at the definition, it's when people use false medical diagnoses to bring, to try and get like monetary gain or emotional gain. And so there was a lot of emotional manipulation around their health problems. And I remember, like for instance, my mom called and I guess we didn't even get to that. I moved out of their house when I was 17.
I was gonna try to.
That's a huge one. And I remember, and I kind of had went no contact at that point for a bit. Mm-hmm. And I remember going into the bathroom, the one by the library, and listening to my voice message. And she was like, the doctors have told me I'm going to die in 6 months. So can you call us back? Like you are really going to not talk to us. I mean, so there was always that. She always had this like timeline on her life, but without a real like true diagnosis of her condition. And like my paternal figure had very obviously, it was an umbilical hernia. But he was trying to convince folks that he had a tumor because he had back issues, a tumor that was connected to his spine that was
that
then,
had grown out the front.
Yep.
Good Lord.
So I think probably the most inconvenient thing for them was that I went into the medical field.
Yeah.
So
Amen, sis.
there was a lot of that. So then, yes. So then we had that manipulation, that emotional manipulation about the health and about them needing help. And
how are you going to just leave us?
Exactly. And so, yes, you had to navigate that. But then I really had to reflect on what more is this relationship going to provide me? And I had to really weigh out the pros and cons of what are the benefits, or because a lot of it was the theoretical benefits, right? The theoretical benefits that they will get their lives together, and then you will have a normal, healthy, beneficial, supportive relationship with a parent, and then you'll be like everybody else, and you'll have what everybody else has, right? With all the cons that actually do exist, right?
Yeah.
So then you've got to realize you can no longer compare the what ifs, because they've had the opportunity that if things were going to get changed around, it would have. And so you have to really break up with the idea that things will ever progress. And I know that that's a hard line for people to really like to think people can change, yada yada. Like I know that line is hard for people to really conceptualize, but in some circumstances, I think that you just have to, call a spade a spade.
Yeah, it goes back to that pattern of behavior. Like if they just continue to show you over and over and over again, if it walks like a duck, talks like a duck, it's a duck.
Totally duck.
Yeah.
Yeah. So definitely there was certainly some guilt associated. As time went on, that got easier.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was hard at first. And there was a lot of social pressure associated with that too, especially from peripheral family members.
Yeah.
People
pressure
that didn't know.
Yes. But it's funny because I don't get that now, but I also don't care.
Yeah.
I think they all kind of got on the boat with you. They were finally like, oh, can we come with you?
Yeah. I think over more time, the reality of my situation was then revealed to them because they had to start leaning into other people.
Yeah.
Because I was no longer a resource for them.
Yeah.
And so then other people then started to discover the things that I already knew. But I also acknowledge that if there is today someone, and I don't care how close they are to me, that were to approach me and tell me that I had made a bad decision and that I should not hold the line, they're not my person.
Yeah.
And I would absolutely be able to walk away from them.
Yeah.
It just is what it is. I'm so much more firmer in my convictions now. I think that's probably just that, being in your 30s is sometimes you're just like, give a damn is a little busted.
Well, and you also have kids too. And you're like, listen, I know that what I did was right because I know that what I'm doing now for them is what I deserve to have.
Yeah.
And my life is great.
Yeah.
And I will protect my peace literally at all costs.
Over everything. So how you mentioned, that it does affect you emotionally, socially, and even, on a personal level, like you went no contact pretty close to the same time for both of your parents, right? Or was there time in between?
There was a bit of a stagger. I let my maternal figure linger a bit longer because her issues were less obvious. And I think it's probably just the natural instinct. I think growing up, that was the parent we tended to be closer to. So I was like, well, maybe I can get like one solid relationship out of this.
Yeah.
And yeah, so that one took a little bit longer.
Yeah. So the parental figure was no contact first.
Paternal, yes.
What did I say?
Parental, it's okay. I just want to make it clear. Yeah.
Paternal. What led to that?
So,
if you don't mind.
Yeah, no. I just bought my house, and our first house was so exciting.
Mm-hmm.
And we hadn't even moved in yet, but we hosted my baby sister's graduation party at the house because we're like, we got the space.
Yeah.
Got plenty of room. There's no furniture. Bring lawn chairs.
I love that.
But was so happy to be able to support her. And then the next day, I get a call from my parents saying they needed me to come over. It's not even my parents. My grandma called me. Said, you need to go to this apartment. They're putting all your parents' stuff out on the lawn and they've kicked them out. So come to find out, he had known they had an eviction notice, and he had known for a month. Did not tell anybody. Did not tell anybody. Just let it happen to where they're in this point of they're homeless. They have no place for all their stuff. And they did actually stay with me for a little bit, but then they were definitely abusing our
hospitality.
Things were going missing. At one point there was like a bunch of like, because I had them staying in my son's room and he was staying in our room. There were a bunch of blankets like oddly kind of piled in the closet. And so one day when I was going through there, I like lifted them up and they had all these groceries and grocery bags, like all this snack food for themselves. But they were not helping us with meals. And we also were not very financially secure at that point. Like we were definitely like paycheck to paycheck, like hustling to make ends meet. I
just bought a house.
Yeah, was in nursing school. Like we're on this, we're just trying to do things. And so to see that they couldn't so much as like help with, I mean, even like hygiene things. Cause I remember like they were like blowing through all the stuff that, I mean, we couldn't hardly keep pace. And it just like broke me to know that they were okay to watch us struggle while they had like name brand Pop-Tarts hidden, what they thought was hidden. And then I also like found some items of mine that I had thought were misplaced and they weren't. They were just taken. And so at that point I was like, I'm done.
Yeah.
You've got to go somewhere else.
Yeah.
And I remember I had a family member there. I mean, family adjacent. Because at my new house, I wouldn't let them store their stuff in my basement because that's the thing. My grandparents' house was like the chronic basement storage for everybody growing up.
Yeah.
And they never, even until they both died, and I'm cleaning out this house. I didn't do too much. I'm going to give my aunt and uncle credit because they did 95% of it. I just got to go in and grab some things. So like, I don't want to take credit, but we're hauling out stuff that's like belongs to my parents that was still there.
Yeah.
So I knew that if I agreed, I would never get their stuff out of I would be the forever storage in this house that I had just bought.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And so I said no. And I had someone who was just incredulous about the fact that I wouldn't let my parents store their belongings in my basement.
It's not your person.
But I also, as time has went on, I have discovered that I don't care what that person's opinion is. At the time, I was sensitive to it,
Sure.
but it was silly.
As Linda Belcher would say, they can go sit in syrup. Let the bees get them.
So how do you navigate conversations? And I know you live out of state, so it is a little bit different, but like Grandparents' Day, things like that, holidays, birthday. How do you navigate conversations about why those people are no longer around or why they're not involved? Have those come up for you?
The interesting thing about it is that it's really not brought up. And It's not that I've deterred that conversation because I am happy to have hard talks with my kids. I mean, we often at the dinner table find ourselves talking about umbilical cords and birth and
I love that
all
so
those
much.
things. So we're a very open family. So it's not as if there's nothing really taboo that they can't talk about. I think it's come up a couple times and I really just kind of just said that they weren't involved and like really the kids just kind of left it alone. But I think the part of that is that they are surrounded by so much love that they don't notice anything's missing.
I love that.
Grandpa Steve, man, he takes the cake.
They don't know any different.
This doesn't have to be out here, but he
oh no, we're leaving it.
Took Ollie and gave him the biggest kiss on his lips. And let me just tell you,
Uncle Steve?
Yes. And all I could think is, there's not a lot of men that would do that with a boy. And I thought it was beautiful and it almost made me cry.
Listen, Grandpa Steve loves those boys hard.
I love that. Like, boys need that kind of love. Boys need that kind of love from men. It really did. It almost made me cry. I was like...
It is interesting to me, though, because there was a time when I mourned for my kids that they didn't have the relationship with their grandparents like I had with my grandparents.
Yes.
Because It was amazing. I did so much stuff with my grandparents that I never would have gotten to do otherwise. But then I realized my grandparents were filling in the gaps that my parents were leaving.
Yeah.
So,
Because I think that they were aware. They didn't probably tell you guys, but I think that they were aware that there was problems. That,
absolutely.
yeah, so they were just trying to be involved and fill in.
All the time.
Yeah.
And so, I'm grateful for that relationship. It was very special. But I recognize that I like to think that my kids have such a good, secure, dependable, and stable relationship with us that they don't need that outlet. I'm not saying that.
Yeah.
I would
It
still
sprinkles
have
for
love
them.
for them to have it, but at the same time, they don't need a parent replacement. Like I very much, my sisters and I needed. We needed somebody to step in and take care of us. So I have to acknowledge that it's okay because they're being provided for in the way that they should have.
Yep.
Yeah.
That I should have been.
Yeah. No, I love that.
Sprinkles. Like grandparents are like enhancements.
So I was thinking about this. I was sitting at your house the other night. It's just the other night.
You can come to my house. I will host you.
Well, so I was sitting at your sister's house, and we're sitting there, and everything's kind of chaotic, and everything's kind of loud. It's a little warm. And I looked over at somebody, I don't remember who, and I was like, maybe it was you, but I think it was me. I said, is this how Thanksgiving is? And you were like, yes. And I was like, I love it.
Yeah.
Because you have all of these weird dynamics where you don't have certain, you have 3 sisters who are no contact with their parents. You have uncles and aunts there. You have random little people that you've picked up along the way that are your family now.
Me.
And everybody is just jiving and vibing. I cannot believe I just said
jiving and vibing.
Hey.
Put that on a t-shirt.
No. No.
But there's like groups, pockets of people in each space,
and everybody's
it's
visiting,
intermingling.
and I was just like, in my mind in that moment, I thought, my family's gonna be okay.
Yeah.
And I appreciated that. I needed that. So, yeah.
This is why I brought the toilet paper.
Carmen for the win.
But yeah, I thought it was Cottonelle. No, I'm just kidding.
It is Cottonelle. How dare you?
But anyway, I really just loved the dynamics. Everybody was having a great time and vibing, and it was just a beautiful moment. And because in that I knew what was coming today, and I just thought, wow,
yeah.
And sometimes you just make a family, you bring people along, and you just make your own family.
Yeah,
and you have.
Absolutely. And I take a lot of pride in my family here. I take a lot of pride in my family in North Carolina, and that was my biggest fear when moving. Is that because I knew I had such a strong foundation.
I think we talked about that. We were concerned of how you guys were going to do, away from everybody.
Literally away from everybody. And it has taken a little bit of time to curate our family out there, but we've got it.
Yeah.
I love that. Oh,
and
I love
you have
that
chickens,
so much.
right?
And we have
Your house came with
the
chickens.
chickens can bake.
I love it.
I love it so much.
I love that Autumn, you have an amazing personality. So I feel like anywhere you go, you're going to attract the right kind of people.
Yeah.
But I'm glad that you have found that in your new home.
Yes.
It's pretty cool. Now
We're
I
just
need to merge them.
Yeah.
Yes.
Because that is also the thing, is that my people all have, they got the right energy, right?
Mhm,
and so they all, regardless of their backgrounds or beliefs or anything, they all, like the family at the house.
Yeah.
We all work together because we all have got the right energy.
Yeah.
And the right respect for each other.
There it is.
And that's cool.
We are talking about how your family unit has really grown and grown up and matured, but also grown into each other. And it has been a process. It's been a journey, because I know that in the beginning, I think you were the first one, again, FFT,
Mm-hmm.
you were the first one to kind of draw that line and say, this is a no for me. But you have 2 sisters who their boundaries looked different and might even still look different sometimes to this day. How do you navigate the boundaries with them while their boundaries look different with the people that you have cut out of your life? If that makes sense. That was a very long sentence.
Yeah. And that has been tough. And there's been a lot of growing pains with that. And maybe I think this was just an opportunity where communication would have been very helpful,
Mm-hmm.
And it did not occur. And this is in the past, and we've moved on from it. But I do know I attended my nephew's first birthday party because it's his first birthday party.
Yeah.
Duh, I'm gonna be there.
Yeah.
No clue, actually, up to that point, that any of my siblings had any contact with my maternal figure. Had not seen her since. I had actually not seen her since October 25th of 2014, and I can say that date because it was my baby shower. That she showed up late to, left early. I almost didn't think she was going to come, but that was the last time I'd actually physically seen her in person. The other, when I finally made the decision to go no contact, that was all actually telephone.
Yeah.
And I'm at this birthday party. We're having a great time, and she came in.
And this was 2019?
Correct.
So about 4 years, no contact.
Yes. And I had the first panic attack that I had in a long time. And my husband wasn't there with me because he was working. He worked weekends. And so I was there by myself with my kids. And I recognize it for what it was, but it feels like you're dying. It feels like you're having a heart attack. It feels like you can't breathe. I had to go. We were in the church. I had to go into the kitchenette to kind of like collect myself because I knew I was not doing well and I didn't know what to do. And my cousin did come in there and she kind of was helping to talk me down. But what hurt me so bad is that I was caught off guard. It was very well known that I did not communicate with this. So to be surprised like that hurt a lot. And then ultimately, after that, I learned with each birthday party to then ask. And the decision from that person was made that they wanted that other person there enough that was important enough for them that it did not matter that I would not be in attendance. They had made that decision. And while I still don't understand it and it still hurts my feelings, I have acknowledged and understood that if I want to maintain a relationship with this person, that I had to adjust my tolerance level and I had to bend. And while it's still uncomfortable and I still don't like it, to me, I have to hold on to it. I mean, I know there's a threshold for everything.
Sure.
But at this stage, I wanted to hold on to those relationships as much as I could and compromise where I could because I have this gap where my parental figure should exist.
Yeah.
And so as the person who got the shorter end of the stick, I think that you should probably be more mad than me.
Yeah.
And I would stand on business with you.
Yeah.
And that you deserve better. And that's it. That's the other big thing. It's not me trying to, I do have control features to my personality and I do like to control things. But at the end of the day, I'm just like, man, you deserve a better relationship. Like you're a good person and you don't have to put up with this.
Yeah.
But I also know that I can't control that. And I know it's my own journey to make that. And I have to, at the end of the day, I live with my decisions.
Yeah.
And I can't make her decisions for her, and I can't say what she can and can't live with either.
That's true. You can't own that. Like, that's what we talked about in one of our very
Mm-hmm.
recent episodes is accountability, like, and what you can own and what you don't have to own. So you have siblings too, and I feel like even with your parents included, everyone's like level of contact is varying.
Yeah.
And I know that it's very new for you and like navigating that's going to look really, it's hard, I'm sure. So I just wanted to ask, like, how has that been? Because we're in the holiday season and
well, so like for 5 years now, I've had 2 siblings who will come be in the same place as each other.
Mm-hmm.
They don't talk to each other. And it's very awkward for everybody else involved. And then something happened and one of those siblings said pretty much, I refuse to be in the same room with this person anymore. And so I went into like this, maybe we can fix this. Maybe we can bring everybody together and talk through this. And then everything kind of just went bad.
Yeah.
There was other factors. So then you have this person doesn't talk to this person. And I've always been the person that's trying to make it good for everybody. And then I
was going to say that's your role in the family.
And for my parents more than anybody.
Yeah.
Because I feel like they deserve it. They deserve to have their kids be together and love each other and have good memories. And with one of my siblings, it's so toxic that you feel like you're worried about everything you say and do, that you overanalyze every step of your way, not just with them, but their significant other too. And you know that if you do upset them, the moment you do, the access to their children gets ripped. So I've always been people pleasing, trying to people please my mom, trying to people please my dad, trying to people please my sibling, their significant other, for multiple reasons, because, I'm trying to have a relationship, but I also love my niece and nephew. I wanted that. And then you have the two middle children that are, one of them, I'm like I mention to him, sometimes like, hey, like maybe, you guys can figure it out or whatever. And stubborn men involved in all of this. And then you just go, why am I doing this?
Yeah.
Because I care so much about this relationship, and these other people they could not care less. And you're just like, okay. And I still feel guilt because it affects my mom.
Yeah.
Not even my dad. And I don't care who hears that. I don't care how it affects him. I think he's a part of the problem, but my mom isn't. And the guilt that I feel is that the things that I have done out of anger or out of hurt or somebody pushing me in a corner has negatively affected my mom. So I don't know how I'm navigating this week. I don't know how I'm navigating this holiday season. I'm having a hard time. But I'm doing the best that I can. I'm focusing on the people in my home. Because I have 3 children that did not ask to be here. We brought them into the world. And by God, I am going to give them a good life. And that's where my energy goes to. That's the people that I'm pleasing. It's an investment. It is an investment. So that's where I'm at.
There is this common misconception that no contact means that you hate somebody. And it's not that. It's no contact means that you are preserving yourself. It is preservation. And because like we said at the beginning, like that bitterness, that only hurts you. And you're not focused on bitterness and hate. You're focused on healing and repairing yourself. So some of the lessons I feel like that we learn from like what peace can really cost us. We talk about guilt a lot. I've even I am not no contact with my family or anybody in my family, but I do have boundaries that I have to set. And I do feel guilt about that because I'm like, I've always been that person that's the peacemaker or the one that tries to fix everything. And some boundaries that have been set by other siblings have kind of I felt, and they haven't, but I felt like they fell on me to kind of play liaison between the sibling and the parent. Like, okay, how do we fix this? This is what she means. This is what he means. This is how. It's not my job. That is not my job. And I did have guilt because I'm like, somebody's feelings are going to be hurt. But as my beautiful counselor, Tracy, said, it's okay. That if feelings are going to get hurt, that is for those people to work through together. It does not impact you. Or it does. I will feel the effects of it. If things were to have gone poorly, I would have missed out, on holidays or things with my sibling. But it didn't get to that. But it wasn't from lack of me trying to play peacemaker. I was the bouncer, it felt like. And the lesson I learned is that you just don't have to. Even if you get pressure from your family, from your parents. And I'll say that, even getting pressure, how could you not take your mom's side? Or how could you not take your dad's side? Or why? Because there's not a side for me to pick. I'm picking my side. And my side is my peace. And if you guys need to figure it out. But that's not for me. So that's the lesson that I really learned in navigating boundaries that I am newly setting with my family and just trying to grow through what I've gone through. Any lessons that you guys would care to share with the collective through all this?
I think one of the big things is that family does not equal obligation. So just because you're related to someone does not mean that you have a debt to them. And when a caregiver chooses to raise a child, they are doing it because they want to, right? But there should never be the expectation that you, as the child, then owe loyalty to who raised you.
Yeah.
It's not a debt that you're paying off. It doesn't mean that you can't show loyalty or love for the people that raised you. That's fine and that's great. But just by the simple act of that they were your caregiver does not mean that then you owe them everything.
It's the entitlement. Yeah. And that is the common misconception. And that's the generational curse that people have got to start breaking, because that's it.
Right. And you have.
Yeah, you have.
You've broken so many curses.
Snaps for autumn.
Your kids aren't even going to have a clue. Like, if you sat down with them or you wrote a book.
Oh, my Lord.
And they read it, they would have no idea what that would be like to live that life.
Yeah.
And that's magical.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah, so when they're acting all spoiled sometimes. Right. You did it right, but you have to check them.
It's time to ask them to steal toilet paper.
They need to get humbled a little bit. Yeah. Listen, we all did some weird things during COVID, okay?
Yes, we did.
But yeah, I think we just, not that I'm encouraging us to go out and be crappy to each other. That's not it either.
Yeah.
But you don't have to accept others' poor behavior because you feel that there's an obligation or a debt owed.
Yeah.
Because of blood relationship. Because that's not it. It doesn't matter.
It doesn't. It really doesn't.
It's about how you treat each other.
Clock it. Do you have any lessons?
No, I'm still learning.
Oh. Always learning.
I learned so new.
Yeah. Well,
I'm just learning that I literally don't owe anybody that's just my family because they're my family.
I think that's the first step for sure. Is just acknowledging that.
I mean, and I do feel like I owe my mom.
Yeah.
But I feel like it's not because she just raised me and like did the bare basics. I think it's because she's like amazing and goes out of her way to always be there and support me. And
she's going to make me a pumpkin roll for Thanksgiving.
I know she is. I talked to her about it today.
I told her, I was like, how much can I pay you to make me a pumpkin roll? She hasn't told me the price, but I have a feeling she's going to tell me not to, but I'm still going to pay her. She's still going to, because that pumpkin roll, if you know, you know.
Like, I do feel like I owe her things because she like goes out of her way to support me.
Yeah.
But you don't do it because you're afraid of how she would act towards you if you didn't express loyalty.
No.
It's not a compulsion because of bad
fear of abandonment
or reactions. It's because you want to reciprocate a joyous relationship.
Yes.
And have a secure attachment with her.
Yes. And I also love, you said loyalty. I am learning that loyalty is a huge thing. So but it's earned. So I don't need to be loyal to you just because you're somebody to me. Mm-hmm. That's hard. But let me tell you, it shifts your mind when you're like, why is my loyalty to this person? It doesn't need to be. So, yeah.
When we talked about, even in this episode, you talked about feeling guilty because what you did made someone else upset. And it was, what you did was justified, but its consequences were outreaching. Or you said something to your parents and you felt guilty that you had hurt their feelings. That's something that I think also deserves acknowledgement, that you can say how you feel without feeling guilty of how it's going to affect that other person.
Yeah. I also have this thing that I need to talk about in therapy is, if I'm upset with my parents, even like rightfully, like they've done something, they're human, I feel shameful.
That's what I mean. That's what I'm talking about. Yeah.
That shame and guilt of like, you're upset or bothered by something that they did. It makes me feel like horrible about myself. And I'm like, why?
Right?
Yeah, I don't know.
What was so freeing, I had this realization when I was watching Is It Cake? Because one of the competitors was like, I want to win this so then I can start my own business and my parents will be proud of me. And I was like, how freeing is it that I could care? I could not.
Yes.
Care
less. Yeah.
Although I will say that it is part of their narcissistic personality that they use my accomplishments, even though they've done nothing to help me get to where I am.
Oh, to like boast.
But as their own social capital. I also want to mention, if it's okay,
of course,
is that what I have discovered from one of my siblings, living in this small town, is that there are some folks who they're like peripheral from the periphery, right? Steps upon steps outside of this circle of family, like not involved in our childhood, us growing up.
Just like know who you are.
They're a friend of the adult that raised us when that adult was a teenager, right? So they don't know who this person was, but they know this person now. Has the audacity to approach my sibling in public, wanting to admonish her for her relationship status with our maternal figure.
That's not okay.
And that is
it's not
so completely unacceptable.
It broke her. It broke her down.
I still can't get over that has recently happened.
Oh, recently? Oh, I'm thinking of an incident when you still lived here.
No.
A long time ago.
This was at a public restaurant. She was having dinner with her family, and a woman who was a friend of my maternal figure as an adolescent, and then was never part of our.
Has no idea.
Was never. I don't think she ever stepped once in our house, but now they have rekindled their friendship, and so she thinks she has the position to approach my sister in public and chastise her for her no contact status.
Narcissists are really good when they can't manipulate you. They manipulate how people see you.
Yep, everybody around you, how they view you.
She's very good at that. She's very good at spinning her sob story and making people, reeling them in. And you just got to be like, you know what? I was actually there. I actually remember this. This is not all the real thing.
Yeah. Oh my God. And how disgusting that you haven't been around. You don't have any idea.
You just hear the lies because she's good. She's a good liar.
Like the new wife.
And then with the baby daddy.
Yes.
She was crazy.
The baby
mama's
like, no
please
idea
come get your child.
That man put her through.
Yeah.
So I think any person who wants to defend the person whose all children, not speak to her, should actually be really embarrassed. That's pretty shameful.
It is shameful. It's shameful behavior to assume that you know what went on when you weren't even here.
Does this shameful person know your sister outside of anything?
No.
I was going to say,
so that's even more disgusting.
Yeah. Yes.
Like, it's not like I know you and we're just talking and I bring it up. I sought you out to talk about this one specific thing and you don't even really know me. That's gross.
Yeah. You don't know me and you assume that you know the story because you heard the liar tell you their version of events. Yeah. Yeah. So real quick, one of your sisters actually posted something on Facebook, and I'm not going to read through everything on here, but it's the top 10, or it's the 10 ways that estranged parents will tell on themselves. I'm not going to read the translations or anything. I'm just going to read what they are. Quote, "It happened out of nowhere." When they say that, it happened out of nowhere. No, it didn't. No, it didn't. My child owes me an explanation. No, they don't. My child was my everything. That's not love. That's enmeshment. Boundaries. My child is mentally ill. So like using their mental illness against them when it's probably them that caused the mental illness. Okay. Number 5, I just want access to my grandbabies. That's a big one that I've seen. And I view children as objects for my benefit. Like it doesn't have anything to do with the kids. My favorite, their partner turned my adult child against me. I see this a lot with wives. Like my husband or my son's wife turned him against me. It's an easy target.
Yeah.
Quote, I did the best I could. No, you didn't. I did nothing wrong. Name calling. And I apologized for things I didn't even do, meaning you're a liar. So it just goes into, I am sure that all 10 of these things have been said by one or both of your parents to people to convince them that they were in the wrong and that they are the victims here. When in reality, it was the 3 children who sometimes didn't know if their parents were coming home at night who were the victims. So sit in syrup.
or if they were going to have a home to go home to.
Yeah.
I actually didn't really recognize that I had been homeless multiple times growing up because I thought,
gosh.
I always had like an indoor place to stay, but it wasn't necessarily our place that we were holding, and I didn't realize that that also qualifies as homelessness.
Yeah.
And the fact that people think that they get to have an opinion is just wild to me.
It's just wild.
It is wild.
But I do invite anybody who wants to question it to sit down and have coffee with me, and we can talk about it.
The 25 years of trauma and abuse and neglect, yeah.
You don't get to come in.
And I love you and your sisters, and you did the right thing.
Thank you.
You're welcome. I know you don't need the validation from me, and you know that you're justified in what you've done.
Girl, I don't even know half of it, and I still was like, I'm surprised it took as long as it did for you. I mean, I'm gonna be honest.
And sometimes it's wild because I'll just be, something will trigger me, trigger something, and I'll tell my husband, I'll be like, oh my gosh, I just remembered this thing that happened when I was a kid, and it's like so crazy and bizarre and weird, and I didn't even recognize at the time it was weird, and I haven't thought about it for forever. They have really complex, and I don't want to talk crap on people that have mental health disorders, because I'm very passionate about treating and managing mental health and helping people. But they have a lot of complex, overlapping, untreated, unmanaged issues and I can't fix them. And I'm done trying.
And it's not your job.
Amen.
I feel like we're kind of coming to a close here with this. And I wanted to ask you, it was really important, if you right now could say something to you as a kid, what do you think that would be? Like, you, autumn-healed adult, great mom, has an amazing career, an amazing family.
I think I would just tell myself the idea of like going back to that space, that's what I have nightmares about. It really gives me a lot of anxiety anyway, of like not having the control of my life and control of my finances and control of anything. But I would just tell myself to hold on, that it does get better, and that Dave's coming.
I think if I was you, I would tell you, I know there's a lot of people you're not proud of around you, but you're going to be the one that you're proud of. And you're going to be the one that everybody's proud of. Thank you.
Yeah. I feel like we're on the Wicked press tour right now.
Well, we're not a fan of yeah, we're a little too happy for that. No, maybe not on them. But yeah, I think sometimes it's really important. That's something I really tried to do when I'm struggling with something with my childhood, is to, as this adult, is to talk to that inner child of what they needed to hear. And sometimes, man, I'm just like, wow, but yeah. You and the fact again that we are breaking it ended with you. Your kids are never going to have to have all, I'm sure they'll probably be like, my parents didn't let me do this or whatever, but like, they are never going to have to recover from their childhood. That's amazing.
I think kind of another thing that to me is quite incredible, just to like show the effects of like what chronic stress and inflammation will do to you, is if you look at a picture of me from 2014, 2013, 2012, 97, at any point in my life, and then look at a picture of me a year after no contact. We could put up a comparison.
Yeah, I think that would be important.
And I think that's impactful. And I'm not saying, obesity is a complex disorder, and I'm the first one to talk on that, and my clinic and things like that. But I do think chronic stress can certainly impact that, and I think that in my situation, that is an example.
Yeah. Before we close this out, I have one more thing to say to anybody who tries to defend a parent's action when you know, I can just hear the excuses now. Well, she was also fighting for her life. She was also this, she was also that. That was never your job or your problem to fix. That was never your fault. And I'll be damned if people are going to make you feel like you should give her grace for something that she put you through.
Yeah.
It's not going to fly.
What the truth is she was very much a part of the problem.
Mm-hmm.
She might have been also had things happen to her. But she created the chaos that she lived in, and that made you guys live in.
Yeah. They're not mutually exclusive. Nope. She could have been in a struggle and also been a horrible human being. Two things can be true at once.
Right. And I also think that her malingering and factitious disease extended beyond just physical health. And I think it's just that whole victim mentality because you reap benefits and support.
Yep.
And again, that's a really hard thing for me to acknowledge because I'm very much a big advocate for women and for victims, and it's a hard space to hold, but it does exist a very small community of folks that will use that as a tool to get empathy, goods, money, support, loyalty.
Yeah.
And that's tough. And it's tough because I want people's instinct to side with the victim.
To trust, yeah.
I do.
Yeah.
I do. But I also want them to consider when they're presented with, a plethora of opposing information.
Yeah. Follow the money. Listen to the facts. So I think a good reminder as we end is that choosing peace is not about being cold. And again, it's not about hate. It's not about bitterness. It's about being whole and choosing yourself. So it's not always pretty, but it is always worth protecting. And I think that's a good place to end, is just protect your peace at all costs.
Thank you for sharing your experience.
Thank you.
I know that.
I'm sorry I keep awkwardly touching your shoulder.
Fine. I'm a physical touch, so that
okay.
I accept it.
Okay. I feel like you would have been like, get off me if you didn't want it. Next week, we're talking about health and wellness and loving yourself through that journey. So a couple heavy topics back to back, but then we're going to end with Am I the Grinch and some hot takes. So
and we're going to have another guest.
We are going to have another guest. So it's going to be a fun time. So
all right.
Have a great week, you guys. Hug your loved ones. Protect your peace. I'm Bianca.
I'm Hannah.
And I'm Autumn.
And we are Taking Back Sunday. Ooh,
that's a wrap.
That's a wrap. Oh, I have a headache.
Like balls deep.
Balls deep. Welcome to the show. We do make some fun little quippy comments. The zodiac sign.
Yes.
I thought you were going to talk about Cancer. I'm like,
I was like, what do I know? I was actually really about to.
No.
Okay.
I was going to have us take a time out. I'm like, what did that doctor tell you?
I am a Cancer, and they are very emotional people. Yes.
369. To the window.
And I'm not even big on like zodiac signs and all that, but that is true.
Fit. Yeah.
I low-key am though. Like it's ridiculous.
I love being an Aries.
Especially when a baby's born, I'd be like, oh, we're in Sagittarius. Or when we were in Scorpio, fun. I was like, you're gonna have a spicy baby. It's
that is
so silly,
cute.
but it finds a way for people to connect. Another way to connect with this new human. Like, oh, they're gonna be a sassy, strong
I love that.
girl.
And it's such a lighthearted thing to just connect with people on. It's no low stakes, no stakes.
Exactly. Plus, also, I feel like that's why Ollie and I are like the same person and vibe so hard because we're both Sages. So
that makes sense.
He hugged me so hard yesterday, and it made me want to cry.
Ollie or Atticus?
No, Ollie.
Oh,
I said,
I didn't even get a hug from him.
I said, bye, but it was so good to see you. And he like stepped forward. I said, oh, are you gonna give me a hug? And like I opened my arm, and he like hugged me tight, and it almost made me cry.
Atticus gives the best hugs. That's why I assumed it was Atticus.
Yeah, they both.
They've got some good huggers. I love it because I am not.
We don't have physical boundaries.
Maybe that's the physical boundaries. LOL. No, we have. Yeah. emotion. Cottonelle.
Cotton.
Yeah, that's one thing. I will never skimp on toilet paper.
I have this coming on an Amazon subscription ever since COVID, girl. I've been getting this shit 20.
I will never forgive the country for what they
Oh
how they
my
acted
gosh.
about toilet paper.
Yeah.
Oh
ever
my
again.
God. Neither will I.
Oh.
Stop.
I also am so sorry I keep coughing. I'm trying so hard. I'm like sitting here like,
No, you're good. You could probably like
do that. We were just
Just
talking
help.
about my trip to DC in 2021 where I was like coughing in Dave's shoulder because I didn't want people on the plane to hear me coughing on a plane and like throw me
Yeah.
overboard, you know?
Well, I'll make you laugh. There was one Thanksgiving that I've known her since preschool.
we know.
I walked in to her house on Thanksgiving and Uncle Steve looked back and was like, "Oh yeah, she's with me, you guys."
Like I didn't invite her on my own.
We were like, "Uncle
We're
Steve,
all like,
what?
what?
What are you talking about?"
It was so
funny.
random.
I bring it up every Thanksgiving.
Every Thanksgiving. It's so funny.
It is. Oh, it was the peak Uncle Steve. They can sense the struggle in here.
Aw, they're
They wanna
like,
come
are you okay?
They
There
want to
we
come
go.
love you guys. Love us. I know we'd never say her name again, but Gypsy Rose. They said that so Crime Weekly talks about that they could have had malingering, or that they were malingering versus Munchausen's, because she
was
did have
benefiting.
actual things wrong with her, but she was
Enhancing.
milking it, to get the
I do think
benefits
it's malingering. Yeah.
versus
with
Munchausen's. So anyway, thought we'd never see the likes of her again.
I knew it'd come up at some point.